Hey guys, how's it going? This is Solo Black Dude. Kind of a long time since I've uploaded a match, and speaking of long, this match is actually quite long because it was actually 41 turns. Also, it's against someone by the name of Mike. I don't remember his YouTube channel, so if you're out there, let me know, and I'll put your link in the description and such, and all that good stuff. So, I think this was on the Smogon Wi-Fi Battle Finder. I was looking for a Yu match, and I was, someone messaged me, and I was like, okay, let's call this battle, and I somehow brought my RU team instead. I kind of forgot that I did not switch any of my previous members from my last RU match. So I was like, just forget it, just go with it. We'll see how it goes. So anyway, let me start from here. So basically, I go for a Thunder Wave on the Blastoise, except he switches into his Umbreon, which is going to get up his Synchronize, in turn which will paralyze me as well, which is a very good ability, as most of you already know. If you don't, then I don't know, I'm just saying this, just to fill the void. So later on, you'll see he was going to have Heal Bell, which is going to be a real annoyance. I was gritting my teeth saying, you little bugger, you just had to have the Heal Bell to me. And that basically my Slowking gets paralyzed for nothing. So switching in Sandslash, the reason is because I want to get Rocks, as you can just see, because Rocks is nice and it induces all around game pressure. When you want to switch in and switch out, you receive residual damage and such. So, going into my Brawlhalla, I'm hoping he's going to go for a grass move of any kind, whether it's an attacking move or a status move. He goes for Sleep Powder. Unfortunately, it misses, which means I don't get my boost. And then he decides to go for his alternate stab, and I get poisoned as well. Bad news is I get poisoned. Good news is, because the defenses of Rosewood is frail as fuck, I guess, just keeping with the FF business, SSPP and such. He goes down in one shot, and I take him out. But I get a lot of residual damage through recoil and poison, which is bad. However, I'm not just ready to sacrifice or let this guy go just yet, because I do have a Joker in my backseat, which I'll let you know later on. So really, my just switched in Slowking here just so that he can die from a Shadow Ball on the switch, just as a fodder, because he's paralyzed. But no, he reveals here Substitute, and this is just awful. From one turn, you instantly crap yourself, and you're thinking, crap, I'm gonna get paralyzed. That's really all was going in my mind. I have to break this sub, or I'm gonna get paralyzed, and then I'm gonna get screwed just because of that. Luckily, on this turn, he's gonna be merciful. Either he's not as malicious as some other people, or he's just merciful and he's gonna actually take him out with the Shadow Ball. And I'm thinking, please just go down, Slowking, you've done enough. And luckily, he does take me out. Now, I'm not sure if it's timid or it's modest, but he does have the Life Orb, so if anything, that's just to blame. Well, not to blame really, because it took me out, which is what I wanted, but you get what I'm talking about. Anywho, I'm gonna go into my Rotom Cut form, and not too sure if most Rotums like nowadays carry Shadow Ball. This is a very long match, so I didn't use Shadow Ball. However, my Volt Switch does get a crit, and usually crits are bad for them, good for me. And I've heard some other people saying they feel sorry for a crit. I'm not sure how it is now, but when I get a crit, I love it, because you know why? Because that Pokemon would have potentially, it's like if I don't get a crit on you, you could cause problems for me later on, which I don't want. So really, I'm happy that I got a crit. Takes out the Chandelure, done. Anyhow, gonna go into my Rotom because I want to resist the Scald. On top of that, Gallade versus Blastoise, it's not a bad matchup for either of us. It's just that he is most likely going to be defensive, and on top of that, he carries Stab Scald, which is going to cause a burn on me, which it can often do because it has a 30% chance. And if it does, my Gallade is screwed because it attacks physically, which is what I don't want. That's the reason why I switched into Rotom. Although he does resist it, he does overall take like half HP from all that, which is really bad. I mean, it's not even the fact that Rotom has low HP, it's just that, well, it can help, but it's just that, actually, yeah, Rotom does have low HP, so I guess that accounts for the fact that I just lost a big amount of health for no reason whatsoever. So, gonna go into my Gallade after using Leaf Storm because of my -2 drop. I don't want to stay in, obviously, again and such. And here, I could go for a close combat, but except that he has used a Wish, so if I went for that, it's just no real point because he'll get up all his health. So really, I go for a Psycho Shot because I know he's a Psycho Cut, sorry, because I know he's gonna go for a switch on one of his Pokemon, and he ends up being the Blastoise. hoping to get a crit somewhere in between as well, but unfortunately I don't. So basically he gets up all his HP back up, and now I have to switch because I don't want to obviously take a burn like I said beforehand. So I'm going to go into my Rotom cut form, and he does go for the rapid spin. He sees this opportunity just to get up these rocks off because it'll cause a problem for him later on, obviously. And that could also be the reason why he didn't want to switch out, because you know, rocks and such. Anyways, at this turn he makes a very smart but very risky decision. I could have easily went for a Volt Switch, but then again I could have easily went for a Leaf Storm as well. But in my position there, I wasn't exactly sure what to do, so the safest option to go for was the Trick, to see if I can cripple either Blastoise or, in this case, Rhyperior, which is good for me because then I can go for any move of what I choose rather than being locked in. Except I miss what, a 90% accuracy move, 4 times weak to a Rhyperior, disregarding Solid Rock. And I miss, and because of that, it ends up costing me my Rotom. And I was fuming. I was fuming as a Heat ran on Eruption. Speaking of Eruption, the reason why I went for Eruption here was because Focus Blast, or Focus Miss as most people call it, including myself, has a 70% accuracy rate, which means that 30% right there could miss, and if it does miss, I end up doing no damage. Luckily, the first turn Mega Horn he does miss, which kind of makes up for my Leaf Storm miss, because like Leaf Storm with Eruption would have most likely taken out from that point. So because he's locked into Mega Horn, he has no choice but to go for that, and I don't take that much damage because I do resist it and it's not stabbed, so you know, it's all good. Still over 200 HP, I do manage to take out this Rhyperior eventually. And now he brings out his Blastoise to resist the move because he knows that I'm locked into it. And generally most Typhlosion are Scarf, so most people can assume that upon sight unless otherwise. So I'm going to go into my Sandslash because I don't have any Pokemon that would want to take a Scald. I could go into Borophilin, but I don't want to exactly let it go to waste because I do have a plan, which I will say later on. And Gallade, special defense is good, but then again, because he is physically orientated, if I get the burn, he himself is screwed. So Sandslash is basically the most useless Pokemon on the team right there. On top of that, he does have Rapid Spin, so I can't bring up rocks again. So, you know, on top of that, it's just, you know, Sandslash is not going to work out, so I may as well sack it. Okay, so here is where I play my Joker. I'm going to go for the rest, which means that Slush Bomb back then and the Scald now is going to do nothing because I can get all my HP back up. And of course, I am Resto Chesto, not Rest Talk, so I can get up my HP back up to max, like I said before, like just a few seconds ago, and wake up ready for battle. So I can go for a Wild Charge on this turn because it's super effective, and you know, why not? Except he does get a critical hit, which means, you know, 50% of my recovered health is just gone. And that's really bad because I would have liked my Borophilin not to take so much damage. Don't get the burn though, but I get the crit, which is just nearly as bad. Or then again, the crit versus burn, I guess burn is more worse because you don't do as much damage. But you do live longer, but still, residual damage upon that and such. Now here, risky switch here in my opinion, because I could have easily went for a wild charge. No, wild charge. I just went for wild charge. Afro Break or head charge. So you know, if I went for a head charge, I would have done about 80% to this Heracross, and then my Shadow Snake would have most likely taken it out as well. So really, the risky switch, I should have went for a head charge now that I think about it, because you know it's stab and he may have switched out and whatnot. But I guess I was just adamant on the fact that I wanted to inflict super effective damage on it. So yeah, that's how it played out. So you know, I can't really change the past or anything like that. Anyway, I'm rambling. So he's obviously fearing that my Typhlosion is scarfed and he wants to switch into his Umbreon just for safety, which he does do that, and he's gonna get a progression on this turn as I switch into my Gallade. And here I have two options. I can either go for a Psycho Cut predicting the switch, because I recognize his Blastoise has taken a bit of damage prior, so really I was gearing for the crit, you know, if I were to go for a Psycho Cut. Or I can go for a Close Combat and do as much damage as possible, knowing that his Blastoise has taken prior damage, and hopefully try and take him out. Unfortunately, min or max damage, I do not take him out. He lives on a smidgen, and he's able to get his wish on top of that with leftovers as well. So now I have, you know, I have this dilemma of what to do. However, this is very key, what I'm about to do. could have went for a close combat to do as much damage as possible. However, if I'd gone for a close combat, I would have died most likely from this gold after the life orb hit, or even like, look, you're gonna see this gold brings me down to about 43. If I'd gone for a close combat beforehand, I would have most likely went down because I would have had 2 special defense drops as opposed to 1 mana special defense drop. Also, the Psycho Cut would have most likely gone a crit, but it didn't. But you know, I'm just saying, if it got a crit, that would have worked out much better than a close combat. So from that point, I can go for a close combat now, take out the Blastoise, and still live with 16 HP intact over my life orb recoil, which means I can get off enough damage. I can get off more damage using my priority move Shadow Sneak to get off damage just before I go down, because you know, damage is damage, and if I get a crit, then that's all good for me. So here is kind of risky. I can go for a Focus Blast knowing that his last Pokemon after this is Umbreon, and then try and go for some super effective moves, well, super effective damage on it. Or I can go for a more accurate stab Fire Blast and hope to get, say, burn and some crits. If I burn it, great, because since I'm a fire type, I don't get burned, because fire types cannot get burned unless they get hit by Soak, which I've never seen in a match before, but I would like to do that. I've seen poison types burned, but I mean poison types poison. What am I saying? I've seen steel types poison, which is kind of cool, but anyways, I was rambling again. So here I get like the godsend of everything. I get a crit on the Fire Blast. Unfortunately, I don't take it out, and you know, had I knocked that out from there, I would have won the match. Unfortunately, yes, I'm gonna spoil it. I end up losing because you're gonna see later on that I am not gonna get as much hacks as I would want to. I mean, I was praying to Arceus at this point, really, just to get burns and crits. Everything you can put on Hack's plate, and I will just finish it up. Unfortunately, I don't get either of them, and because of his Wish protecting shenanigans, I'm going to end up losing my Fire Blast PP. And this is one of the situations where PP Max is really, really vital. So, you know. So, basically, after all this protecting and wishing, he's pretty much back up to full health. And I'm just praying to Arceus, please get something like a burn and a crit, or both, or, you know, like every turn. Not every other turn, every single damn turn. And he brings me down to 92, so that brings me into Blaze range. So now I can hope for a crit. Maybe at this point, if I got a crit, that would have been perfect. I would have won the match from that point. I do get a burn, but it's not really good because at this point, basically, I lose all my Fire Blast PP, as you'll see next turn, that I just struggle. I mean, if I had one more Fire Blast, that would have been good, because since I burned it prior hand, this payback didn't do as much to take me out, but since I didn't have anything left to do, I just end up struggling and I end up dying. So that is a 1-0 in his favour. So yeah. So if you liked the match, you're welcome to leave a like. New people who watched it, if you enjoyed this battle and any of my content, you feel free to subscribe. I'd like that very much, and I'd hope you enjoy your stay. And yeah, I ought to get on with more work with other videos, because I've not actually uploaded much. I might do a stream actually sometime in the future. So if you're up for that, then you know, I'll post a streaming video and let you know if I'm streaming and such, and then you guys can have a crack at me at some battles. And yeah, we hope to have a good time trying to get it out there. I'll try and make it a convenient time for Americans, so you know, sometime in the evening for UK and afternoon for Americans, depending on what day and time you guys are free and likely to do this. Most likely on the weekend, you know, because you know, most of you are back in university and school and whatnot. Anyways, that's it. I've kept enough of your time. I'm gonna go, and so can you. So yeah, catch you guys later, and peace.